So this was a tough game for the Indiana Fever for a lot of reasons. Um, they struggle to really understand the flow of a game, and there's too many moments when, quite frankly, they just look lost. They just don't know how to transition well enough from offense to defense and defense to offense, and it catches up to them because when you're going to be playing these tough, close, back and forth contested games, transition is everything. I mean, you got to be able, whether it be off a missed shot, whether it be off of a made basket, no matter what the situation is. I mean, just look at that's what's been carrying OKC versus the Indiana Fever game. I mean, like that. I mean that's where it's been. I mean, if you listen to Halliburton talk, he's just like, man, it's just we got it's all in these little things like transition and getting rebounds and whatnot. And this is and it's kind of perfect that you can see the Fever kind of just not quite get it. And I talked about this last season as well. So Caitlin Clark scored or assisted on over half of the points for the Indiana Fever. And the reality is when Caitlin Clark, when she is not leading the offense, they just don't know what to do. At one point, and I showed this graphic before, and they showed it on the broadcast, on Caitlin Clark's passes, her on her assists, their field goals were like 8 for 11, 8 for 12, whatever the exact number was, and on non field goal, on non Caitlin Clark passing field goal attempts, like 6 for 19, just night and day, absolutely night and day in terms of the type of shots that the Fever get when it's coming from a Caitlin Clark pass versus not. And what I talked about last year is that the Fever, in a lot of ways, need to play like how they teach you when you're like 9 years old, 10 years old. For those of you who didn't really play basketball competitively, especially when you're like even just in intramural leagues, you have like a point guard, right? Everyone gets a number. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number one's the point guard. You're the point guard. It's Jimmy. Jimmy always gets. He's the point guard, and he's the one that always brings the ball up. And until a certain age, you can't even press. You can't even do like a full court press. Everybody has to get back on the other side of the half court. And so it's just you get the ball, you get the rebound, whether it's an inbound, whatever it is, and it's always like get the ball to Jimmy, and it just dumbs down everything. It's get the ball. Jimmy's the point guard. Jimmy's the point guard. And most of the time, especially at that age, it's just like whoever can actually just handle the ball. Because I got news for you. When you're like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, even when you get kind of to a pretty much older age, even in high school and whatnot, it's like not everyone can handle the ball as well as everyone else, obviously. But especially when you're younger, and it's like just get the ball to he's the one, he's the point guard. He's the one that's bringing the ball up. And I remember even as I got older and got better and better at basketball, when basketball became a little bit beyond just get the ball to the point guard and he's the only one who's gonna handle the ball. I remember bringing up the ball one time and I was just like, I'm bringing the ball up now, and it was like a big deal. It was like, yeah, you're actually a good basketball player. So like this is this is how real men play ball. Like everyone, anyone can bring the ball up. And it was like I remember the moment. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And Fever just need to go back in time, play like you're 10 years old again, and it just get the ball to Caitlin, get the ball to Caitlin, get the ball to Caitlin, get the ball to Caitlin. That's how you're gonna win. It's really that simple. And listen, it's it's more about the fact that the level of talent in the WNBA, it's just not saturated enough. There's too massive of a drop off. In the NBA and other leagues and whatnot, it's like you don't just need to have Steph Curry bring the ball up or, Halliburton bring the ball. Like, because the talent drop off isn't so massive. The talent drop off is massive in the WNBA. It's massive. And it's especially massive when dealing with Caitlin Clark. That's what happens here. So yes, just like we know, who would you rather shoot the ball, Steph Curry or some guy off the bench? It's like, well, there's a reason why Steph Curry takes more shots than someone off the bench, because he's going to make more of those shots. There you go. It's a numbers game. And so we know more often than not, when Caitlin Clark is handling the ball, something better is going to happen. And it's not just going to be because she's going to be a ball hog. Like, that's the thing. It's one thing if I was saying with Caitlin Clark that no one else should shoot. She needs to shoot 80% of that, because it is kind of funny. It's kind of weird. We know Steph Curry is like the best shooter, for a team like the Warriors, just in the NBA in general. And you're just like, why doesn't he just shoot like 50 times a game? Even contested shots, he's more likely to make it than, again, someone else off the bench. And it is like an interesting thought experiment where you're like, why doesn't he just shoot? Why is that not how we go about basketball, right? Like, everyone's all about the numbers and threes and layups and whatnot, advanced analytics. And, obviously I'm not going to break it down why that's not necessarily how you want to go about it. But I would argue in the WNBA and the way how these offenses are run, and how there's just this, again, this inability of transition offense, and even when now things get slowed down at half court, it's just like, you just feel it. You just see it. And you're just like, and there's moments that Caitlin Clark is calling for the ball. And Sophie, to her credit, her mind is absolutely fine, Caitlin. When she gets the ball, when she gets the rebounds, fine, Caitlin. Fine, Caitlin. And when you see other people play on the court, you can see it's like, they're like, I get the feeling that they're just kind of like, all right, it's my turn now. And it's like, but you're not good enough. But you're not good enough. And I'm posting a video tomorrow, and so I won't do it here, where the broadcast essentially was like, Caitlin Clark is leading the WNBA in assists, and a big reason for that is because of Boston. And I took issue with the way they phrased it, because I'm just kind of like, you're implying that like Caitlin Clark is getting a lot of assists because of Boston, because Boston's making these great, amazing plays and whatnot, and it's the opposite. Boston is feasting because Caitlin Clark is setting her up for such easy buckets. Like, that is more the norm than Boston making just brutal, tough, and my example I keep using is like, it's not like we're just throwing the ball down to Shaq and then Shaq's just dunking it, or I'm just passing the ball to Steph and Steph's hitting a step back three, boom. Like, that's not the story here. And again, I have a separate video, so definitely please check that out, posting tomorrow. And you can see that one of the times that Boston's like calling for the ball, at the foul line essentially, and it's just like it is now just like an easy little lob and saying like, all right, like, I didn't set you up for an easy basket, get to work. And what happens? She's got like a weird contested, like incredibly low percentage shot that does not go in. And it's like that's the difference. And so they have to be able to find better looks. So on one side, they need to do a few things. One side, they need to give the ball to Caitlin more in that regard, and let her truly run the offense, have her be like an actual quarterback essentially. And two, they need to, until they learn how to be able to run an offense, not just with Caitlin Clark. They need to understand. And but the problem is I don't know how possible that is. That's why I talked about the talent drop off in the WNBA. There's a reason why we've never in the history of the WNBA ever seen what Caitlin Clark is doing. And again, her pace is insane. When we look at some of these stats and we say like, oh, she's doing this, and it took these other women like 400 games to do it, and this or that, and it's just like, that doesn't even really put it into context really, because it's going to be so hard to imagine what Caitlin Clark's numbers look like when she's played the 400 games. Okay? To put this in somewhat context, in the broadcast they talked about, I think it was Caitlin Clark's like 15th 10-plus assist game. And in the existence of the Indiana Fever combined, there's only been 15. And she's done it herself. And she's only played a season and 8, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever how many games she's played so far this season. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's actual insanity. The drop off is insane. It's insane. Yes, Michael Jordan was better than Scottie Pippen, but it wasn't like falling off a cliff. LeBron James, no matter who you want to say is better, LeBron or MJ, it doesn't matter. The difference isn't a cliff. It's just not. Okay, Dwayne Wade, Kobe, LeBron, like all these guys are still like, they're all with each other. And there's definitely people that are better, and definitely in certain moments, right? Like we could talk about MJ's instincts and Kobe's instincts and, say, hey, LeBron doesn't have that. Like, that's all fine. But it's like, Unless we're super biased, we're not going to pretend like it's just mountains between the two of them, because it's just not true. But it is like that in the WNBA. It is like that. Just like it is when you're 10 years old. When you're 10 years old, the talent gap is massive. People either got the motor skills and got the drive and care, hand-eye coordination, or they don't. And that's why a lot of times they take those kids out of those leagues. You know, the first two sports I played, because those at that age, that's when you play them, was baseball and soccer. And I was so good, and it's not like bragging or anything, but it was just like they take you out of the leagues. They're like, you're too good, and you're too like assertive and aggressive, like in the positive light. And they're like, we got to put you in travel. We got to, it's like we got to take you out of the gen pop, because the gen pop is still trying to figure out like, oh, this is a ball. What do I do? And it's just like, I'm not joking. Like I would average like 6 goals a game when I first started playing soccer, because I was like the only one that could just like get after it. And again, that's not really bragging. It's just like it's really more about the lack of skill rather than my skill. And like that's how you progress through sports. And there's just that talent deficit. And in games like these, it really highlights it, especially when Caitlin Clark's, what was she, 1 for whatever from 3? Like, she could not get a lot going offensively. And then that's my last criticism. And I'm going to have to keep railing on this. Like, Caitlin Clark hasn't been shooting great, and yet she's still just doing like step back deep threes, logo threes. I'm going to have to eventually really, because I keep referencing this, and I'll have to just eventually just try to find the clip of KD, of Steph, them all talking about like the importance of getting easy buckets, of getting easy layups, easy mid-range jumpers, and how you kind of have to earn the 3 and whatnot, that you don't just start heaving up threes. And like I keep saying, this is KD and Steph, greatest shooters in the history of the WNBA, the greatest shooters in the history of the league. And like, this is what they're talking about. And the problem is with Caitlin is like, there's never easy buckets for her, ever. I mean, it's just so hard to come by. And the Fever never really do much. When you really think about it, the Fever never really set Caitlin Clark up for some easy buckets. Now, it's always hard to get an easy bucket for a Steph Curry, but you see the plays. I mean, especially if you actually watch the Warriors, I mean, I got it so imprinted in my mind of Steph working with either Draymond Green or Kevon Looney, where it's always the pass, and Steph is wrapping around, and Looney just kind of tosses it right back up. Like there's the real setups for these looks that Caitlin just doesn't get, and that is coaching. That is on the players. That is, they need to figure out how to get her some easier looks. She just can't live with these step back deep threes, because you're guaranteed to have nights like this. Steph Curry isn't even shooting this deep on a regular night, and you should not be doing something that Steph Curry isn't. That's just the reality. So I want to see her get easier looks. I want to see her, work the foul line more. Get a little bit easier layups. The Fever need to do a better job of getting her open threes. They need to work the perimeter. They need to swing it around. They need to get a lot of these people in motion and not just standing around. They need to learn how to execute an offense, not just with Caitlin. And until then give the ball to Caitlin. Then Caitlin, again, she's the 10-year-old Jimmy. Get the ball to Jimmy. He's the point guard. Hey, Mike, pass it to Jimmy. He's bringing it up. And you see the parents all over. They're always saying that. He's one. And it's always a small guy, too. It was always like the smaller kids. That's what you need to do. And it's something that no one's really going to say out loud, because they're like afraid, or that it could be insulting. It's not. It's just basketball, man. Like that's the beautiful thing about ball. The media seems to forget this sometimes. It's the great equalizer. I talked about this with someone when I actually used to do like sketch and improv in LA and Hollywood. And I would like have conversations with people, and they would be like, man, like, like you say things that you're really not supposed to say in like theater. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you're not really supposed to like comment on anyone else's performance. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. I was like, what do you like? If you did something great, I say you did something great. If not, then not. It's like, and we have conversations about it. And he's like, it's just Matt Damon talked about why he works so well with Brad Pitt, because he says, directors, if they don't like a take that you have, they'll say, I think your character would be a little bit sadder, and that's their way of saying, like, you didn't do a good enough job. I need you to be sadder. And they tiptoe around, like, it's like this weird thing. And he says when he works with Matt Damon Matt Damon and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck work together, they're just like, yeah, it wasn't a good take. Do it again. And like, that's what it is. And in sports, when you're playing, whether you're playing like in a really competitive league, whether you're playing just pick up with your boys, whatever it is, it's just like, if Mike keeps taking too many shots, you're like, Mike, stop shooting. Like, you yell at him. You go, stop it. You keep turning the ball over. Be like, Mike, you keep turning the ball over. What are you doing? Stop picking up your dribble in the corner. Get the ball to Ricky. Like, you work it out. You have honest, real conversations. If I'm playing and I'm not having a good game and I keep shooting 3 after 3 after 3, they're going to yell at me. My coach is certainly going to yell at me. But even if I'm just playing pickup with my friends, they're going to be like, stop, pass the ball. And if not, then they're not going to give me the ball anymore. They're like, dude, don't give the ball to him. He can't shoot today. He's no, dude, don't. Like, it's self-policing. It's brutally honest. And that's the story here. That's just the reality. Don't hate me because I just got the courage to say the quiet part out loud. So, yeah, the Fever need to take a look at this. Because they're losing games that they should be winning. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. When you look at a game like this and you look at a game against Golden State and whatnot, like, you're seeing games that you're like, oh, they can win, but they're losing them. And that's always kind of like, this isn't like you're just inferior talent. This is a fundamental flaw in the execution. Now, to be fair, again, Caitlin Clark is cold, but she's guaranteed to have these games. When she's taking the type of threes that she keeps taking, she's going to have the games where you're like, I can't believe she just made 5 of those threes. And then she's also going to have games where she's going 1 for 9, 0 for 8. Like, it's guaranteed. There's a reason why Steph Curry doesn't do it. So Caitlin Clark shouldn't do it. This team needs to evolve. This team needs to grow and adapt. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever loss to the Las Vegas Aces? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.